Hello, good people of Twitter and or YouTube and or Discord, and welcome to the Opossum Speak Season 1 episode 3. It's been quite a while since I recorded episode 2, but I thought it would be a good idea to make a third one, because there's been quite a few things that have been happening and not happening since the last episode. And this might be like the one where I give a speech. There's one thing in particular that I've been thinking a lot about today, and I think it'd be a good idea to mention it here. However, it's going to sound really elitist and really like posh and really prude, and hopefully that's okay, because I don't know. I guess that's the way I speak sometimes. But yeah, so I guess I will just get right into the thing that I was thinking about. It was specifically in 5th period, because 5th period, I just can't talk today, I guess. 5th period, I had business and marketing, where I sit next to quite possibly the 3 most boring people alive. And I mean, our teacher's actually fine, but the class itself is just really mind-numbingly boring. And so I looked at the barcodes that we used to sign in and out of class, and thought about something. So the thing I was thinking about was a few months ago, or maybe even, I think it might have been like a year or more at this point, I read a book called Replay, and it is by Ken Griffey, or Ken Grimmie. I don't know what his name actually is, but his first name is Ken. It's about a guy who lives his life over and over and over again until he stops living it, and then he kind of is fine with it, and he meets someone else, and they, continue living their lives over and over. And it's a generally good book. It's science fiction, but it's like realistic enough for you to kind of believe that it might be able to happen. And the thing is about the author is that I think he died very suddenly right after writing it. I might be thinking of a different book or a different author, but I think he died from something like cardiac arrest or sudden onset like cancer or something that just made him pass away a very short time after writing that book. And you read the book and you look at the guy and you're like, man, well, if he had lived for maybe another 10 years, he could have made a whole bunch more cool books and could have brought a lot more joy to a lot more people. And the thing about that is that, I don't know, it's weird to think about, because if he had just been some sort of automatically functioning brain in a vat, like if you imagined literally a brain that's hooked up with wires to a computer monitor that is in a vat and it cannot see and cannot breathe and cannot live, but it can sure think, that brain would function very similar to a human. However, it would have not as many experiences, and it would kind of ruin the point of being human. Because if that book was written by a brain in a vat, I wouldn't really even trust it for being what it was, which is a cool book. And I like knowing that books and other things, such as movies or video games, are made by actual people, and not brains in vats. And the thing about actual people is that they are born, and then they live, and then they die. And to me, there's something very special about being able to, have some sort of weird conscious state where you are not alive, or no, where you're not dead, and you can do things with it. And if you're a brain in a vat, that just lasts forever, and that kind of ruins the specialness of it, because you're always in that state, and you're never asleep, and you're never dead, and you're just always, I mean, I'm just using that as an example, but like, you could be some sort of weird auto-functioning, like, I don't like this word, but entity that's just kind of there, and it would be weird because you wouldn't know any other state other than being alive and kind of sentient. And there's so many things about like being human that I think are really strange, like, having to eat and having to go to the bathroom and having to do a whole bunch of annoying things. And if you think about it and you're like, well, this is not terribly optimal. I mean, we have a pretty conscious species, but it has to eat, and it has to drink, and it has to not die of, heat, and it has to not die of a lot of things for it to stay alive. And that is kind of cool, because it means that at any time, that, person could just immediately die, and those kind of different, or those kind of, like, imperfectnesses is what makes people people. And to me, that's a pretty cool fact. And I don't think I made a lot of sense, And that was just, I don't know, it was a pretty interesting, it made a lot of sense when I was thinking about it in fifth period. But that's also what makes, like, the Shakespearean plays or whatever, the tragedies and comedies, that's what, the human flaws is what makes those, like, actually interesting to read or listen to. Although I've only, like, watched the one adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, but I'm guessing that there's a lot of other ones that are pretty darn interesting. Such as every single other Shakespeare play. But I don't know. Like, human flaws are what makes tragedies and comedies so, like, appealing, because, you know, if people didn't have any flaws, you wouldn't have people doing dumb stuff. But yeah, that kind of concludes that. I don't know, man. I do a lot of thinking, and then I don't really acknowledge a lot of it, and I guess I am now because I'm talking about it. But what? Oh, right. So for the past few days, I've been feeling like a weird state of grossness, because here's the thing about me: I go to school wearing, like, sweatpants and like a sweatshirt, and if I'm lucky, like a flannel or something that's buttoned with one button to make myself feel more stylish. And the problem with that is that the thing is, it's very easy to go around judging people and looking at them and be like, wow, that person is wearing a jacket, and I haven't seen them wearing anything other than that jacket, so I don't know if they washed. I don't know if they washed that jacket. I don't know what they do with that jacket, but they're always fucking wearing it, and it's kind of hard to judge whether they're actually, like, I don't know, not disgusting. Like, I come to school with kind of wettish hair, and I wear my hair kind of long, and it just sort of doesn't make me look stellar. Like, if I walked into a job interview with, I mean, even like a, you know, a tuxedo or like whatever you wear to it. Not that you don't wear a tuxedo. You wear a tux to, like, a, I don't know if you're going to some really formal thing, but, like, if I came in, like, a, you know, a suit and a button down and a tie to a job interview and had my hair and it was wet, they still wouldn't have that great of an impression on me. And I'm not gonna wear, you know, a button-down shirt to school, but I just feel like, I don't know, I could have a lot better. I feel like people could look at me in a lot better of a way, and that's not to say, like, it's not their fault, because I don't even know what they're thinking, and they might not even be thinking what I think they're thinking. But I don't know. I find myself judging a lot of people. Like, there's one person that I internally call Mama's Little One, because every single fucking day I see her mom drive her all the way to the bus stop, and then the car takes a U-turn at a roundabout and then drives back. And I think, wow, that's really, really petty, because if you're gonna drive your kid to the bus stop, why not drive them, oh, I don't know, all the way fucking to school? Because, yeah, bus stops are known to be not terribly far from schools, because if you're going to that school and taking the bus, you probably wouldn't live terribly far from the school. I don't know. But, and I feel like if she knew that I was internally having those thoughts about her, she wouldn't think too highly of me, and she would probably be very self-conscious about her mom driving her to the bus stop every single day of the week. And I'm not a big fan of that dynamic, because it means that there's a lot of things that I could be saying that I'm not saying, just to, I don't know where I'm going with it, just to, like, I mean, I'm not saying them to be polite, because I'm not an asshole, or at least I hope I'm not an asshole, but it just kind of is weird to me that there's other people who are thinking those things about me and aren't saying them. And I'm like, wow, well, if only everyone else would tell me all the bad things that they think about me, so I could try and improve. And perhaps her mom is, like, time crunched and can only find the time to drive her the 3 minutes it takes to get the car out of park, release the parking brake, to put it in drive, or put it in reverse, and then put it in drive, and then get out of the garage, or the driveway, and then drive her to the bus stop. I don't think it would be too hard to take the 4 extra minutes to take her to the school, but maybe, like, her job is in such a situation that taking her daughter to the school instead of the bus stop takes more time, which is, I mean, fine, and I can understand that. I also have an internal nickname for one poor guy in my math class. He sits directly across from me. I know his name, I think. And my nickname for him in my head, I don't actually call him that. I don't think I've ever actually called him by name though, unfortunately. But because we changed seats actually, it's not the guy from my math class last time. No, it's a different guy. Oh right. I call him the big bad wolf internally, because what he'll do is he'll like sit and he'll hold his breath for 5 seconds, or it feels like forever, and then he'll like exhale it like in a very very big breath, like hold on, let me demonstrate. Like, I don't know, man, he just does that so frequently, and you go, well, man, this guy's breathing is kind of annoying, and he's probably, you know, kind of ticking off everyone that's in a 1 desk radius of him, but no one's gonna tell him because that's kind of a dick move. Like, no one says, oh, could you please breathe differently? No, that's kind of a really mean thing to say, and you just don't say that to other people. But I feel like if I knew that I was breathing in a bad way, I'd probably try to change it, but the fact that, like, saying it to someone else is just that awful to say. Like, I really am not going to walk up to someone, even if it's like an annoying nose whistle person, I'm not going to say, oh, you're nose whistling, because they probably have already realized that, and they're probably annoyed by it too. Like, I don't know, it's a very complicated topic. And okay, internal nickname number 3 is in my CS class. I might have already mentioned this, but it's this one guy to my left, who I saw him like take a very very long sip of water, and now I call him the camel because of that one incident. And he was just taking like a 20-second long sip of water and leaving his mouth on the rim of his water bottle for a very long time. And I was like, wow, this man is a camel. And I don't know, man. It's kind of bad that that's the only thing that I judge him on, because I feel like I should be discerning people's characteristics based on their actual personality rather than how long they take to sip, you know, water out of their water bottle. But I don't know. These are things I don't really like about myself, like my tendency to immediately jump to conclusions about other people and like their personality and how much I'd want to spend time with them based on one thing or 2 things about themselves that they can't really change and don't really know they're doing wrong. Like, for me, I probably leave my mouth on water bottles a lot, or I don't know, probably like grunts when I'm at the urinal or something, because everyone does that. Everyone like makes little grunting noises when they're at the urinal. I mean, who doesn't? In fact, there are like 40-year-old men at airports who they make the loudest grunts ever, and that is why I'm not a big fan of airports. It's because of the 40-year-old bald men who, like, I don't know, make sure that the whole world hears how satisfied they are at the urinal. It's weird. I digress. But I don't know. It's like hard to tell other people about that kind of stuff, and that's why I'm kind of worried about it for myself, because there's probably oodles and oodles of things about me that I would not like anyone else, or that other people wouldn't tell me, but I'd kind of like to know. But that, I don't know, man. Like, there's a few things about me that I already know are kind of gross, such as, you know, wearing a sweatshirt to school every day. I mean, there are people who wear the same exact sweatshirt and the same exact sweatpants to school every day, and that was fine in, like, 5th grade, but in anything more than like 8th or 7th or 6th grade, it's kind of like not super good. But I don't know. Like, I just do wish people were more open about those kind of things, and I'm not sure I'd want to live in a world where everyone is pointing out each other's small flaws, because that just really wouldn't be fun to live in. But I don't. It might be useful to know if I smell, because that's kind of something that people like being alerted about, but it's also a thing that people usually don't like hearing about, because no one really likes smelling, and you're not gonna, some people carry around deodorant in their backpack, but I know very few people who do, and I used to do it, but now I just apply it every day, and it's not too big of a deal. But I don't know. Like, and there's also, if you didn't have to wear masks all day, it would be like, if someone's picking their nose or picking their teeth, you wouldn't just tell them because they know they're fucking doing it, but like, I don't know. And there's one guy that I actually really respect who I asked him, if someone has a booger hanging out of their nose, would you tell them? And he said yes. And I was like, man, this means this guy has an agenda. This means this guy really knows what he's doing. Because, I mean, if I saw someone who had like even a small booger hanging out of their nose, I wouldn't tell them, because I'm not that guy. My monitor stuff wasn't moving my mouse, because I'm that kind of guy. But he does, because he is that kind of guy, and I don't know, I just would rather not offend people. This really isn't going anywhere, is it? I'm very sorry, actually. I don't know, I've been kind of in a weird thought space for the past, like, weekish, and I think that's because I haven't been running as much. Like, I used to be running nearly every day for cross-country, and now I haven't been, and I just kind of, like, read and take walks and ruminate, which is fine, but I'd rather, like... The thing is, I used to be in cross-country, and then the season ended, and so now I can't, like, force myself to get up off my ass and run, and I really would like to be able to, because it means that I get some sort of, like, mandatory physical activity that's not walking. Because, I mean, walking's fine, but, like, it just doesn't, I don't know, get your blood pumping in the same way as running, even though they're, like, the same activity, but one's faster. It's crazy how that happens. I don't know, like, I found that I have noticed myself doing weird, nitpicky things about myself as well. Like, oh man, that was a really weird sounding burp. I hope no one heard that. Or wow, like, or wow, I'm kind of an asshat today. Even though I probably am not that big of an asshat that many days. I mean, there's a few days out of like the last month that I probably wasn't in the greatest mood. But that's fine, because everyone has those days, and like, I don't know, I just wish I was more comfortable with myself and the way I acted, and I know not many people are. Like, I don't know, I'm pretty comfortable with a lot of things about myself, such as my sexual orientation and my gender. Maybe the first one I don't know about, but the second one, for sure, I know that I'm male. But, you know, man, like, yeah... This is all very complicated. What else was I going to say? This is like still I press record, and it's been almost 20 minutes, and I really don't know what else to mention. Oh yeah. So there was this really, really bullshit math test that was a week-ish ago, a little more than a week ago. It was last Friday. And that was a really, really bullshit test. Like, I know that doesn't say a lot about it, because there's a lot of tests that might be bullshit, but it was quite the shitter. I don't think anyone in my period finished before, like, 2 minutes before the bell went off for the end of the period, so that's how you know it was quite a shitter of a test. Dude, I like that word, I'm sorry. And somehow I got a 96 on it. I don't know how I did it, but I'm pretty happy with it, and I don't know, I feel kind of lucky, because I don't know how the thing is, I feel kind of guilty, because I think my math teacher just doesn't like me, because I do none of the homework, I pay attention in class, but that's really it. I do zero homework, I do zero things outside of class, and I get more than 90 on every single test so far. And I don't know, maybe he thinks I'm studying a lot, which I'm not. I study, like, for a few minutes before, like, the day before a test, and that's, like, the extent of it. That's the same for every class, but I don't know, I feel like I should at least be applying myself more in math, but I'm not, and I'm getting, like, a high A, so I think it's working out fine, but it just doesn't really feel right, and I think my teacher is wondering what's up with me, because I mean, I'm sure there's lots of kids who don't do the homework and, like, do well on tests, but, because I know a few, but I don't know, I mean, I wish, like, he was... Well, the thing is, homework is 0% because of some weird equity law, which kind of makes sense. I don't know. Today has been kind of a shit day, actually, if you want to really know, because it wasn't, like, a really bad day. It's just nothing outstanding happened in, like, any of my classes, and so I just kind of, like, got home being like, man, I wish today was, like, an extension of the weekend, even though, honestly, I'm not a really big fan of weekends, because I don't talk to a lot of people, but today, no one was even awake. Like, I came into the first and second period, which is my LASS block, and there was, like, one person at my table who was alive and willing to speak, and I talked to him for a bit, and there was like one person across from me who I talked for a bit, but like everyone else like had their eyes closed or something, and it was just, man, I know that's Mondays, but like, Jesus, usually I rely on other people to wake me up, and that just didn't happen, and so I just was not alive for I guess today. And also we switched to seats in Spanish, which I have at sixth period, like on Wednesday, and I kind of liked my seats because I was next to like three people that I genuinely enjoyed talking to, and now I'm next to three people who I find talking to maybe not insufferable, but it's like a few degrees down from insufferable. Like if one end of the scale is amazing and the other end is insufferable, it's like slightly tolerable. Like I'd rather not speak with them than speak with them. One of them I call Bread Loaf Kid because his hair looks like a bread loaf. Like it's like you could cut it and it would slice like bread. It's pretty funny. I don't know. I have a lot of weird nicknames for people. Like, there's one guy that wears a trench coat that I call Trench Coat Guy, and there's one girl that wears a unicorn hat to school every day, and I call her Unicorn Hat Girl. Like, I don't know them as anything other than those traits, and I think that's kind of a bad thing. I should talk to more people, and I should, like, but I don't know. I think they think I'm weird from, like, reaching out, because here's the thing that I was kind of also thinking about, maybe not today, but, like, a while ago. There's some weird social stigma in talking to people that you don't know. Like if you walk up to someone that sort of looks lonely, and you strike up a conversation, they'd be like, "Why on earth are you talking to me?" Because no one does that anymore. And there's some also weird pity dynamic where if you walk up to someone unprovoked and they're like sitting, I don't know, and looking at their phone or something, and it's like, and they're waiting for the bus, it's not like. They might think that you're not talking to them because you genuinely want to and want to get to know them better. I think they might think that you're talking to them because you pity them in a way. And I think that's kind of a bad dynamic because it means that you can't be nice to people without them thinking that you're like trying to be like a good person, not genuinely. Like there are some people that try and like fill their quota of being nice to people. And that's not really the way to do it. You just, if you see someone who has a cool outfit, you tell them. If you see someone who has cool nails, you tell them. If you see someone who has nice hair, you tell them that they have cool looking hair. Like it's not, and if you see someone that looks like they might, want someone to talk to, you go up and talk to them. And I feel like I should get better at doing that because there's a lot of situations where I could do that, but I either, like, am talking to someone myself, or I just don't really feel like doing it. And I just fear the pity dynamic so much, because I don't want them to think that I'm, like, a player in a bad way. A player is in, like, someone that just cannot, as in someone who's just doing it for the weird social... I don't know, man. It's a really strange thing. Like, there's, I don't know, man. The people in elementary school and middle school who just went around, like, trying way too hard to be good people to other people, those people, I'm not a big fan of that kind of thing, because you just go around being, like, kind of a fake person to other people, and expect them to be genuine to you, kind of. Like, here, you say, oh, hey, I think... I don't know, that shirt is cool, but you don't actually mean it, and you're just trying to be mentally okay with yourself, because you're like, oh, well, I gave this person a compliment, I must be a good person. Like, no, I don't know, it's for the own intrinsic value of telling people other things are nice, because you want them to be happy, rather than your own benefit. I don't know, I should do less thinking and more running. But that might conclude it for this episode. God, this is a long episode of just me speaking and nothing else. But, if I sounded, like, more drab or more, like, I don't know, snooty today, that's because, well, it's probably for a lot of reasons. But, I don't know, if you made it this far, you're pretty darn cool. I don't know how you're, like, keeping it, or I don't know how you're not bored yet. But, see everyone on Season 1, Episode 4 of the Opossum. I think Season 2 will start in 2022. I think that seems about right. And then Season 3 will be in 2023. That actually seems like a good way to do it. But yes, goodbye. And see everyone on the next episode. I don't know, man. I'm very sorry if I sounded, like, weird today. Because I kind of happen, sounding weird. In general, oh lord, okay, well, goodbye.